Here are some webcam stories that I thought were really creepy. I've only chosen stories that seem real or possible, as those tend to be the creepiest. Some of these stories are pretty disturbing. So if you're someone that's easily creeped out, then perhaps this video is not for you. That said, here are 8 scary webcam stories. She taught her how to wave. Although creepy, the following story is a little sad. Reddit user I am not a butterfly writes about the last time he saw his wife and daughter. He starts off by talking about how his wife has been teaching their daughter Hannah, who was a couple of months old, how to wave. She's been teaching her how to do this for quite some time. Then, one day, out of nowhere, Hannah starts waving on her own. As you can imagine, he was really happy to see his own daughter finally waving without anyone's help. Then, 2 months later, he's told by his boss that he has to go on a business trip to Singapore. Because of this, he thought it'd be best to use Skype to contact his wife and daughter while being overseas. And ever since he arrived, he's been using Skype to contact them. Then, the night before he's due back home, he Skypes his wife. They were talking about their day when out of nowhere, Hannah, who was in her playpen, starts waving at the hallway. He then asks who it is that she's waving to. Of course, she couldn't respond, but he wishes that she did, since this was the last time he saw either of them. Whoever it was that she was waving to had to be responsible for their disappearance. Stories like these make you wonder about its ending. What happened that night and who could have done such a thing? This is one creepy story with a mysterious yet sad ending. An unsettling occurrence on Skype. Reddit user JC1993 writes about a chilling incident that took place on Skype. While on his way to class, JC realizes that he left his tablet in his dorm. He was using it the night before, talking to his girlfriend on Skype. He also realized that he left the program running. He forgot to end the call on Skype. However, little did he know that during this call, his girlfriend, who was still on, would see something quite chilling during the time that he's not there. On his way back to his dorm, he receives a text from her, causing his stomach to churn upon reading the message. In the text, she asks why he won't answer her when she could clearly see him moving in his dorm. This gave him chills. The thought of someone inside his room freaked him out. Someone must have broken in, he thought. This really scared him, but the fact that he was already standing outside his door scared him even more. He replied by saying that isn't possible, since he's not there. She then replies with, "Someone is that. They looked at me." This was the last thing he wanted to know before coming inside. It petrified him to think that upon entering, he would come face to face with this stranger. He couldn't wait any longer, for the thought of meeting this person was gnawing at him. He unlocks the door, turns the knob, and walks in. And, to his surprise, there was no one there. Everything appeared to be in its place. His bed was still the way he left it, and his tablet was still on his desk, propped up against the wall. To this day, this occurrence perplexes him, for he can't explain what his girlfriend saw. Now, it could be that the stranger might have been hiding inside when JC came in and left once he was gone. That's what I think. Who knows? Let me know what you guys think. Skype gone wrong. The following story was posted by an anonymous user on Reddit. The story is nonetheless very creepy and short. The story begins with the Reddit user talking about how he found a way to communicate with his girlfriend, since both were far away from each other. They decided to use Skype as their form of communication. Then, one night, during the Skype session, the user and his girlfriend stopped their conversation after the Reddit user realizes something strange. He saw what appeared to be blood on his foot. The sight of this freaked him out and caused him to experience what he claimed to be a minor breakdown, for he couldn't explain why he was bleeding. There was no cut, the blood was just there. He left the room, storming out the door and into the bathroom to clean himself up. When he came back, his girlfriend asked him something that to this day gives him chills. She asked who it was that walked out of his room after he left. As if the minor breakdown wasn't enough, he's told that there might be a stranger in his house, To this day, he can't shake the thought of her question, since she said that as this person left, he watched him close his door, a door that he left open on his way out. That's pretty creepy. If I were to be using Skype or anything similar, I would turn off the cam whenever I'm gone so that whoever I'm talking to doesn't tell me something I don't want to hear, like there being a ghost or a stranger in my house. Doubtless, this was one really creepy story. The internet is a scary place. If thoughts of someone watching you scares you, then the following story is sure to give you goosebumps. Reddit user Moose_O talks about the scariest thing that ever happened to him. One night, Moose was home alone, surfing the web and chatting with someone through Facebook, when all of a sudden, he noticed something weird. Each tab on his browser began to reload, except for the one he was on. Curious to see why each one refreshed, he clicked on one of the tabs and saw something that scared the living daylights out of him. Moose saw what appeared to be a live feed of himself. He was being recorded through his webcam and didn't realize this until now. What was even more scary is the fact that there were people commenting through a live chat during this feed. And in one of the comments, someone said that they were going to make his death look like an accident. Upon reading this, Moose immediately closed his laptop and hid in his closet. Thankfully, nothing happened, but Moose states that this incident still haunts him to this day. So, I guess the moral of the story is to close all your tabs or to avoid visiting sketchy-looking websites, which is probably how he got hacked. Doubtless, Moose's story should be seen as a cautionary tale. I wasn't careful enough on the deep web. The deep web is perhaps one of the most sinister places to exist on the internet. Reddit user Packathon John describes the events that occurred while surfing the deep web. To this day, he still has nightmares of what happened. He starts off by talking about how his friend was able to find a way to access the deep web without getting hacked, which is something that commonly happens on there. After finding out how to safely surf the deep web and using it for quite some time, the Reddit user decides to explore some websites that he's never been on before. However, the Reddit user admits that doing so was a mistake, for he saw something that he wished he never saw. He came across a website in which contained pictures of a young girl who was being tortured, among other things. And below these photos, there were people commenting and bragging about the terrible things they've done as well. Things that were similar in nature to what was being done to this girl. In fact, he was so disgusted that he decided to type in the comments that each person on this site was sick and that he was going to call the police. After typing this, the Reddit user realized that he made a huge mistake, for what happened next scared the living hell out of him. The website goes completely black, and a green chat box appears. In this chat box, someone with the username admin1 appears and types out the address at which the Reddit user is located. This anonymous person then warned him that if he called the police, he would kidnap him and his friends. Fearing for his life, he decided not to call them. He was then told by this person how to leave the site and never find it again. After following instructions on how to do so, the Reddit user decides to phone the police. But it was to no avail, since they couldn't find the website he was talking about. And that's the end of this story. Here we have another cautionary tale about the dangers of surfing the deep web. If you plan on doing so, then avoid doing what this Reddit user did by visiting websites that don't seem shady. Or just stay off the dark web. Doing so would be much safer. I saw something strange on a controllable webcam. Controllable webcams are those cameras that live stream the location at which they're in. They're usually found in parks, street corners, or sometimes homes. But the creepy thing about these cameras is that they give people access to whatever they're recording. And this access can be obtained via certain websites. However, if you plan on visiting these websites, then perhaps you should listen to the story first, since it might make you reconsider doing so. Reddit user Cam_addict has been addicted to controllable webcams ever since he found out about them. One day, after looking at some surveillance cameras, he finds a live feed of what appears to be the inside of a house. However, upon further investigation, the Reddit user concludes that what he was actually seeing was a common house. This put him at ease, since initially he thought he was looking at an actual house. Now, he can continue observing this place without feeling guilty, Although he wouldn't feel guilty, he would later regret having done so, since what happens next has made him feel paranoid ever since then. The following day, he goes back to the stream and notices something strange. The lights in the house were now off. He then goes through every camera in the house and sees that not a single room is lit. But then, after going back to one of the rooms, he hears what sounds like muffled crying. Then, as if that wasn't creepy enough, he hears the voice of a man asking him if he would like to watch. The Reddit user immediately closes his laptop and leaves the room. He had to take a break and think about what just happened. It freaked him out that this man knew he was watching. He was too afraid to go back, but curiosity got a hold of him, and so he returned. But this time, what he sees will scare the living daylights out of him. Upon returning, he notices that the lights are now on. Nothing seemed strange until the following happened. The camera to one of the rooms switched footage and was replaced with pre-recorded footage of the Reddit user looking at his computer screen. As it turns out, the man behind these cameras hacked into the Reddit user's webcam and has been recording him for quite some time. This definitely freaked him out. But what almost caused him to lose his mind was the fact that there was someone outside his window looking at him in this pre-recorded footage. He then calls the police, fearing that there might be someone lurking outside. To this day, he remains paranoid and cannot shake the thought of hearing that person who was crying in the video. I'm a cam girl, and I had a terrifying Skype call. The following story was submitted by a webcam model who, as the title of the story says, had a scary experience with a client on Skype. Reddit user Blair Daniels makes most of her income through private Skype sessions with clients. According to the Reddit user, most sessions aren't that interesting, as most men either tell her rude things or ask questions about her day. However, there was one particular Skype call that was unlike the rest, and it's one that she'll never forget. One night, she joins a call with a man whose username was MatthewXXX. Upon starting the session, she sees what appears to be the guy's crotch, filling the entire screen. The weird thing about this, though, is that he was fully clothed, which is unlike most of her clients who appear naked. But things got a lot more weird, as she's about to see something that will haunt her for the rest of her life. While staring at his crotch, the camera starts zooming out, and as it does this, she notices that this person isn't moving. In fact, he was completely stiff, almost seeming dead. And as the camera continued zooming out, she noticed that this person wasn't in a room, but what appeared to be a basement from the cinder block and cement floor in the background. Once the camera was done zooming, she was shocked to see that she wasn't looking at a man, but a mannequin on a chair. This creeped her out. What scared her the most was the other mannequin in the corner of the basement. It was dressed exactly like her. It was wearing the clothes she had the day before. She then demanded that the person behind the camera tell her who he was. But before she could say anything else, the call disconnected. Later that night, she went to bed feeling really paranoid, fearing that someone might be stalking her. Then, 20 minutes later, she receives a call from her mother, who lives in a different house. Her mother asks what she's doing outside. Confused by her question, the Reddit user asks what she means. Her mother then says that she sees her standing outside next to her rose bushes, and that she can clearly see the clothes that she usually wears. Immediately after mentioning this, the Reddit user knew exactly what it was. It was the mannequin from the call. The stranger must have placed it there. She then warned her mother to stay inside and lock the door. But before she could finish telling her what to do, the line goes dead. The Reddit user ends the story here. Although we don't know what happened to her mother, we do know that the Reddit user is alive, since she was able to write the story. However, she hasn't posted any updates ever since. Hopefully she's okay. Why I will never fix laptops again. Reddit user Please Stop Watching Me tells a scary story about an incident that has caused him to never fix nor open a laptop again. Please Stop Watching Me is known amongst his friends as an expert at fixing computers. One day, a friend named Daisy comes to the Reddit user seeking help. Daisy tells him that her laptop has been acting up lately, turning on the webcam at random times throughout the day. Daisy appeared scared and on the verge of crying. She feared that someone might have been watching her. Because of this, she placed a piece of tape over the webcam. Although he was too exhausted to fix anything, Daisy's concern gave him the energy he needed to fix her laptop. After receiving it, the first thing he did was check for viruses. However, to his surprise, there were none. This was odd, as that would have explained the computer's weird behavior. After multiple attempts at trying to figure out the problem, the Reddit user gives up. However, while remaining idle on the computer screen, a text file appears right before his eyes. He clicks it and sees the following message: "Remove the tape." Unfazed by this message, he says no. Then, a second message appears, this time saying something a little threatening. "Don't make me ask twice." The Reddit user was now annoyed and decided to comply, knowing that nothing would happen if he removed the tape. He takes off the tape and receives a message through another text file, this time saying something creepy. "You look great, love. Please smile for me." Soon after reading this, his roommate calls him over from the hallway, causing him to look away from the screen for a few seconds. But when he looked back, he noticed that the files were now gone. They disappeared. However, there was now a red folder in which contained something that still scares him to this day. He clicks on the folder and finds photos of himself, most of which were taken with Daisy's webcam. But what really put him on edge were the photos that seemed to have been taken from outside his window. This was enough to creep him out, and so he closed the laptop and returned it to Daisy the following day. Ever since then, he's sworn to never fix anyone's computer, especially webcams. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had any creepy experiences with webcams. That said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.